The caravans consist of trading routes reaching out from the centrally located desert. The nomad inhabitants want wool and grain, and they will increase the value of your settlements and roads. You'll use the special desert tile as well as the camels. Whenever a player builds a settlement or upgrades a settlement to a city, a camel will be added to one of the 3 caravans snaking out from the center. Camels must always be placed either next to one of the starting spots at the desert or connected to the end of an existing line of camels. Caravan trains can never branch out. When it's time to place a camel, you don't necessarily get to place it. Each camel is put up for a vote. Starting with the player who just triggered the camels, you get 1 vote for every wool or grain resource card you pay. If you pay more than all the other players combined, you get to place the camel. Otherwise, if 2 players with a majority of votes can agree, they place the camel together. If no agreement can be reached, the player with the most votes places the camel. Finally, if there's no agreement and a tie for most votes, the player who just finished their turn places the camel, even if they had no votes. All resources used for voting are discarded. Caravans can end up blocked from further expansion, and if 2 caravans meet at an intersection, they continue as a single caravan. A road that shares a hex side with a camel is counted as 2 roads when determining longest road. A settlement or city that is between 2 hex sides with camels is worth an additional victory point. The first player to reach 12 points is the winner. Barbarian attack brings knights front and center to fight off wave after wave of barbarians who are invading Catan. You'll use the special castle hex in addition to the desert tile, and the neutral barbarian and the player knight pieces. You will replace the development deck with a special deck for this scenario, and you won't use the largest army award or the robber. I knew you'd like that, Glover. The board is set up using a selected group of tiles in the outer ring, and a group in the interior section. At the beginning of the game, there are already barbarians on the board, 1 on the 2 and 12 hexes. You'll start with a settlement and a city on the board. Barbarians are placed in the outer ring of the island every time someone builds a settlement or upgrades a settlement to a city. You will interrupt your turn and roll the dice in order to get 3 different numbers, ignoring 7s. A barbarian is placed on 3 outer hexes corresponding to your numbers. If there are 3 barbarians on a hex, the hex no longer produces until the barbarians are defeated. If your coastal settlement or city is surrounded by conquered hexes, it doesn't count towards your victory points. When you buy a development card, you immediately reveal it. Most of the time, the card will give you a knight that starts at the castle. Knights are placed on hex sides. After you complete trading and building, you move knights. Knights move 3 spaces, or 5 if you pay a grain resource. If the total number of knights surrounding a hex is greater than the number of barbarians, the barbarians are defeated. Everyone with knights involved receive a barbarian prisoner. If there aren't enough barbarians to go around, roll dice to see who gets the prisoner and who gets 3 gold instead. Extra prisoners go to the player with the most knights, or roll to break a tie with the loser getting 3 gold. Barbarians are worth a half victory point each. Conquered hexes and buildings are again available once the barbarians are removed. Unfortunately, knights can suffer casualties. After removing the barbarians, you will roll 1 die. Look at the castle. Note that the hex sides across from each other have matching symbols. Find the number you rolled and the matching symbol across from it. Now, identify the hex sides that have the same orientation on the hex where the battle was. Any knights on either of the 2 sides corresponding to the sides on the castle are removed. Their owners receive 3 gold in compensation. You may buy a resource for 2 gold twice per turn. You can also trade gold with other players. The first player to 12 victory points is the winner. The Traders and Barbarians scenario emphasizes roads much more than in regular Catan, even though you don't use the longest road award. It also adds the most components with commodity tokens, wagons, barbarians, gold, baggage train cards for each player, and a different development deck. There are 3 new hexes, which represent a castle, a quarry, and a glassworks. Each location has materials that they need and materials that they produce. You'll use your wagon to pick up items at one location and transport them to a location that wants them. The location hexes have specific positions on the board. You'll leave out the desert hex along with a pasture and a field. Your baggage train cards show how far you can move your wagon on a turn and how much gold you get for a delivery. The backs show what resources you need to pay in order to upgrade your wagon to move faster and make more money. The commodity tokens are sorted by their backs and placed at the location shown. Once the board is set using the instructions in the rulebook, each player places out a settlement and a city to start. You also start the game with 5 gold and your wagon located at your city. The first part of your turn doesn't change. Roll the dice, distribute resources, and trade and build. On the location hexes, there are interior paths that roads may be built on. You can't build a settlement in the middle of a location, however, and you can't build roads on the coastal sides of a location hex. After you finish trading and building, you move your wagon. Wagons start with 4 movement points and move from hex intersection to hex intersection. Moving a wagon across a hex side without a road costs 2 movement points. Moving across a road costs 1 movement point. If you use another player's road, you also pay that person 1 gold for each of their roads that you travel on. Finally, there are 3 barbarians still lurking around Catan. If you cross a hex side with a barbarian, it costs an extra 2 movement points in addition to the normal costs. You may pay a grain to give a wagon 2 more movement points on a turn. If you move to a location hex's central intersection, you end your movement, deliver goods, and pick up new goods. For the first arrival, you have no materials to deliver, so you simply pick up a commodity token. It shows you what it is and consequently where it should be delivered. If you make a delivery, you get as much gold as is shown on your wagon movement card, and then you pick up a new commodity token at your location for delivery. As you upgrade your wagon, you will move farther, get more gold per delivery, and even have a chance to run off the barbarians to another hex side of your choosing. You also move a barbarian when you roll a 7. If you place a barbarian on another player's road, you get to steal a card from that player. Gold pays for movement on other players' roads, and you may also spend 2 gold to buy a resource card up to twice per turn. If you reach 13 victory points on your turn, you win. That's an overview of everything that's in the Traders and Barbarians expansion. There are a tremendous number of ways to change your Catan game in the box. Glover also appears to be in the box. Hang on a minute, buddy.